Hey, Allison Verhalen here, coming at you live for today's Tip Tuesday. So, today I want to talk to you about building a strong foundation for your content because one of the things I've seen for my clients who are successful versus my clients who are not so successful with the content I write for them, even though I'm doing the same thing for all of them, right? Is some of them have all of their ducks in a row when it comes to their digital marketing strategy. And some of them hire me to write content and think that's all that they need to do. And it's not all that they need to do because you got to do all this other stuff, either for yourself or have professionals do it for you. Ideally, have a professional do it for you. First and foremost is your website. If your website doesn't load quickly, is out of date, has not been maintained in forever, is no longer aligned with your current brand as it is now, that means it's not going to be aligned with the content that I write for you, which is going to really cause problems for you in terms of attracting and engaging those ideal clients for you, because then they're going to look at the website and the content and they're going to know it doesn't match up. They may or may not be able to put their finger on it, but at least on a subconscious level, something will go, something's off here, and they'll click away. So easy for people to click away. Everything has to be in line to it. Keep those people engaged, which is where, again, SEO and web design and development come in. Because if it takes more than, on average, about 3 seconds, which I know is not a lot of time, but again, we are creatures of instant gratification these days. So if it takes more than 3 seconds for your website to load, that's the cutoff point where we see more and more people clicking away and not waiting for it to load. They're just going to go somewhere else. So that is the first thing you need. Have a really good web designer and developer. Some people do both. Some people only do one or the other. So again, if you're talking to a web designer, ask if they also do the development. And if not, a lot of them who don't do development work with someone who does development. So ask about that. If they have someone either they can refer you to or someone on their team where they just, white label all of that. But you need a really good web designer and a really good web developer who knows SEO. That one is really important. A lot of web designers and developers say they know SEO and they really don't. So if you're not sure, talk to me because I know people who I know SEO. And if you want me to meet with your web designer or developer and make sure that they actually know their SEO, I know the right questions to ask them. So that is something to consider. Make sure they know SEO, because there's the content side of SEO, which is what I do. And then there's the website design development part of SEO. And those are two different things. And you really need them both in order to make Google happy. The other thing is you need a website that is well maintained. If you can do it yourself, fine. I maintain my website. It's really not that big a deal. But it is another thing to add to your to-do list, right? So if that's not something you want to worry about, don't worry about it. Hire it out. Have someone else deal with it. Again, ask your web developer if they also offer maintenance services, because again, a lot of them do, but not all of them do. So make sure that is something that they offer if that is something that you need. Client avatars, right? So creating content without knowing exactly who you're talking to makes it that much harder to make sure that your content is effective. So make sure that you have your client avatar all set up, you know exactly whom you're talking to, and all of the content you create uses words that they would use, is targeted to them, has a clear call to action that speaks to them, speaks to the pain point they're experiencing when they're reading your content. Photographer and videographer. Again, a lot of people do both, but not everyone does. So ask about this. I highly recommend you get both. If you only need photographs, then just hire a photographer. If you only need a video, then just hire a videographer. I highly, highly recommend you have really awesome branded photos and videos on your website. But again, keep in mind that those take a really long time to load. So you're going to have to balance the number of images and videos and the size of them against your load time. So just keep an eye on that. After you hire someone like me, so all that is before you hire someone like me. After you hire a content writer, you need an editor. Again, a lot of writers have an editor they like working with, they have a great relationship with. Awesome. If not, make sure you look it over. I have had some clients who don't even look at the content I turn in for them. They just have it go straight up on the website if they're really comfortable with that. Awesome. So either have an editor on your team or be prepared to look over the content yourself. Keep in mind, when I say editor, there's an editor who makes sure that your content flows well, it makes sense, it's aligned with your brand, it's targeted to your client avatars, it's got all the things, right? And then there's a proofreader. That the proofreader is the one who is going to make sure that there are no grammar mistakes, no typos, all that little stuff that you have to look for. That's going to be your proofreader. So again, make sure you know what you're paying for. Are you paying for the flow and brand alignment and all that good stuff, or are you just paying for the proofreading? Or are you paying for both? That can get kind of expensive, but it is so worth it because it's going to make your content so much more professional and so much more effective. Social media strategist. I do not do social media. That is something I did in the beginning of my career, and then I realized that there's really not a huge difference, but a pretty big difference between knowing blogging, knowing SEO, and knowing social media strategy. They're two different things. And I was okay at social media strategy. I always like to say that I know just enough to be dangerous, but I also know there are a lot of people doing social media strategy who are a lot better at it than I am. So I'd much rather just hand that off to them. So if you need a social media strategist, that can help your SEO and it can help your content, help drive people to your content and make it so much more effective. So absolutely identify your social media channels, make sure that you understand how that algorithm works, or make sure you hire a social media strategist who does know how that algorithm works so they can either do it for you or teach you and or your team how to really get the most out of your social media campaign. And last but certainly not least, email marketer, because you want to capture those leads when they come in, stay top of mind, right? You can do that with social media. You can connect with them on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or wherever they hang out and keep pushing content in front of them. That is awesome. That is just the start. You really want to make sure that with an email, you are always getting in front of them. That is always going straight to their inbox, assuming you don't end up in their spam folder. I have a whole other video on that. You can check that out. But absolutely make sure you have an email marketer who is on top of things so they can, again, help you spread the word, help capture those leads, and lead those leads through the funnel, turn them into clients for you, or at least really high quality prospects, really warm, hot leads who are ready to buy or almost ready to buy. So I do offer email marketing services in addition to the blogging and website content that I write. So if that is something that you need, I would love to talk. You can always leave a comment here or find me over at my website at AV, as in my initials, Allison Verhalen. That is avwritingservices.com. And you can email me directly at info@avwritingservices.com. That's it. Have a great week and happy blogging, everyone.